In this Java tutorial, we're going to look at the anatomy of Java programs. The smallest building block in Java programs are functions. A function is a block of code that performs a task. As a metaphor, think of the buttons on the remote control of your TV. Each button performs a task. Functions in programming languages are exactly the same. For example, we can have a function for sending emails to people. We can have a function for converting someone's weight in pounds to kilograms. We can have a function for validating users' input and so on. Now let's see how we can code a function in Java. We start by specifying the return type of that function. Some functions return a value like a number, a date time, and so on. Other functions don't return anything. So the return type of these functions is void. Void is a reserved keyword in Java, and that's why I've coded that in blue here. Now, after the return type, we have the name of our function. So here we should give our function a proper descriptive name, like send email. This name clearly identifies the purpose of this function, okay? Now, after the name, we have a pair of parentheses, and inside this parentheses, we add the parameters for this function. We use these parameters to pass values to our function. For example, our send email function should have parameters like who is the receiver, what is the subject of this email, what is the content of this email, and so on. Now, in this tutorial, we're not going to worry about parameters. We'll look at them in the future. Now, after the parentheses, we add a pair of curly braces, and inside these braces, we write the actual Java code. Now, one thing I want you to pay attention to here is that in Java, we put the left brace on the same line where we define our function. In other programming languages like C#, it's more conventional to put the left brace on a new line, but we don't do that in Java. So we put the left brace on the same line where we define our function. Now, every Java program should have at least one function, and that function is called main. So main is the entry point to our programs. Whenever we execute a Java program, the main function gets called, and the code inside this function gets executed, okay? Now, these functions don't exist on their own. They should always belong to a class. So a class is a container for one or more related functions. Basically, we use these classes to organize our code, just like how products are organized in a supermarket. In a supermarket, we have various sections like vegetables, fruits, cleaning products, and so on. Each section contains related products. By the same token, a class in Java contains related functions. Now, every Java program should have at least one class that contains the main function. Can you guess the name of that class? It's main. So this is how we define a class in Java. We start with the class keyword, then we give our class a proper descriptive name, and then we add a pair of curly braces. Now the functions that we define in between these curly braces belong to this class. And more accurately, we refer to them as methods. So a method is a function that is part of a class. In some programming languages like Python, we can have a function that exists outside of a class. So we call it a function. But when a function belongs to a class, we refer to it as a method of that class, okay? Now, in Java, all these classes and methods should have an access modifier. An access modifier is a special keyword that determines if other classes and methods in this program can access these classes and methods. We have various access modifiers like public, private, and so on. Now, most of the time, we use the public access modifier, so we put that in front of our class and method declarations. So this is the basic structure of a Java program. At a minimum, we have a main class, and inside this main class, we have the main method. Now, you might be curious why we have a capital M in the name of this class. Because in Java, we use different conventions for naming our classes and our methods. To name our classes, we use the Pascal naming convention, and that basically means the first letter of every word should be uppercase. In contrast, to name our methods, we use the Camel naming convention, and that means the first letter of every word should be uppercase except the first word. So that is why we have a capital M in the name of this class. All right, now that you understand the anatomy of a Java program, let's create a new Java project and see all these building blocks in action.